Welcome back to our League Challenge. Today we are all full of pizza and we are ready for round number 3 for our tournament at Psycho Turtle in Pico Rivera, California. Dennis Geisler here with you. My collection of friends. Oh, you can't see Zygarde because he's green. I've had him sitting there the whole time, but he's really hard to see on account of being the same color as the green screen. That keeps getting me. We have Brian Collins and Edward Gold here. Brian Collins running, I think that's basically the team from Milwaukee that he went so far with. Hatterene and DD Female. He's doing a Lilligant, Torkoal, Farigiraf, and Incineroar. Edward running the Rillaboom, Dragonite, Alolan Ninetales, Sneasler, Ursaluna Bloodmoon, and Incineroar. Obviously, Brian, one of the best players in this region. Absolutely elite player. Excited to see what he is able to do here. I think he's going to Vegas as well. I would imagine he would be. See the lead with the Indeedee Hatterene up against the Incineroar and the Ninetales. So, pretty interesting. Both pretty passive leads, ultimately. There's a lot of special defense on Brian's side. So you're not going to be taking a ton of damage against the Ninetales. You have to be a little concerned about the Incineroar. This is a pretty passive Incineroar, actually. It's a lot more like we would see back in Regulation I. Some of those Incineroar sets that ran the Taunt. We'll see the instant switch out on the Indeedee, actually, to get the Torkoal in and take down the Sun. We'll see if Edward wanted to go for the Aurora Veil here. Even if he didn't, there's not a whole lot that he can accomplish. So Rillaboom coming out, so both both of the terrains being set up are now being swapped out. The weather and the terrain. So the Aurora Veil does not get to go up, and the Trick Room does. This is a pretty good spot for Brian to be in, actually, because if you want to, you could either go for big Torkoal damage here with the Eruption, plus Hatterene damage, or you could bring back in the Indeedee and go for Expanding Force. There's not really a lot of downside, and you can even just go for this all the damage here. There's so much damage available to Brian. Terran just ruined Miguel's picture. Lots of thinking from Brian here. Ooh, and will be a bit of a switch up here. It's going to be the swap back into the Indeedee. And going for probably the Expanding Force here. We'll see how much this does. I would imagine it probably takes out the Ninetales, if Ninetales does not switch out, which makes sense for it to do if that's the Incineroar here. Yep, it's the Incineroar back out. So not a bad play for Edward here. We'll see what the Rillaboom wants to go for. Might be Grassy Glide, although obviously it would lose priority now that the Psychic Terrain's up. Could be the Fake Out, which would be ideal for Brian, but not necessarily a ton of value. And yeah, there was the Terrifier, so definitely aiming to try to block the Torkoal more than anything else. But the Expanding Force into the Rillaboom. Good damage there. And it's high horsepower into the Indeedee, really trying to take down that, really trying to take out the Torkoal there, and unable to catch it. That's a bit of a tough one there. My goodness. It's always interesting. I really hope that Champions gives us like a neutral spectator mode, just because it is really disorienting. Ooh, Rillaboom takes the hit. I will get back to it in a minute, because that is pretty important, actually. Knockoff into the Hatterene, going to do some solid damage, gets rid of the Life Orb, so a little less damage it'll be able to do. And the Psychic does finish off the Rillaboom. Okay, not a huge deal. I hope that Champions has kind of a neutral spectator view, because watching players like click through menus, some of them are really difficult to watch, because they be clicking everything. And Ursaluna's going to hit the field now, so we've seen all four of Edward's Pokemon. The Ninetales still in the back. Incineroar still left to deal with. It's going to be a little bit awkward at this point. Hatterene, a little low on HP. A little low on turns of Trick Room as well. And there's the Helping Hand. And Ursaluna will protect, so we'll see if this is the Dazzling Gleam to try to do as much damage to Incineroar as possible. No, it's the Expanding Force. Not going to actually accomplish anything there. And just a taunt into the Indeedee. So none of that Trick Room, none of that Follow Me, none of the Helping Hand. Only able to use that Psychic now. Still in terrain. It's going to do okay damage to the Ursaluna if it wants. See if this KOs. I think it might. No, Ursaluna will barely take the hit. Now, can Indeedee take 2 hits here? And oh no, it's actually slower than the Blood Moon, which is very interesting. It's able to finish off the Ursaluna there. And that puts Edward in a 2-on-4 situation. The Trick Room has ended. Ninetales can hit the field again, but the big problem is that Torkoal can just come right back out here and undo the snow, and that will make Ninetales pretty much useless here. Ninetales has not been able to accomplish much this game, I will be perfectly honest, and that could be a very difficult thing for Edward to manage in this set. I wonder what the best 4 is into Brian's team here. There's Torkoal, going to set the sun back up again. Blizzard, ooh, does still double connect. Does not take out the Hatterene, very nearly does it. That knockoff does do it though, so Trick Room not going to be able to get back up. Not right there at least. But the big problem is Torkoal is up here. Psychic Terrain's down, but Indeedee can come back in and reset it if it wants. And for a Giraffe will hit the field. Big problem is the Ninetales does not have damage for Torkoal. Both those stabs are not good against the Torkoal, and also Terrafire for a Giraffe. So this one might just be over. See the Terra here for Brian. Yep, there's the Furgiraffe, there's the Terrafire. And yeah, that Ninetales ain't doing nothing against fire types, that's the big thing. Blizzard, it misses at least one. Only hits the Torkoal. Hits the Freeze, that could really be the only out there. Knockoff into the Torkoal will mean that it loses its choice specs, but that might honestly be good because it'll be able to swap its moves around. Hyper Voice gets the Throat Spray up on the Furgiraffe. And Torkoal will get to move last, probably picking up the KO here with the Earth Power, yep. Oh no, actually not going to KO. So maybe still a tiny chance remaining? It's not very likely. Because there would need to be a KO onto the Furgiraffe. I'd need to freeze the Furgiraffe here, I think. Yep, not going to get that. And the knockoff, not going to do too much damage either. Hyper Voice picks up the double KO. Brian Collins picking up game number 1. Very nicely done there, managing the terrain and the weather. There was really no moment where Edward had either terrain or weather control during that battle, which really decided things, because both those teams rely fairly heavily. At the very least, Edward relies very heavily on having terrain or weather control to stop opposing terrain and weather control. And Brian did a really good job preventing that. Let me take a drink for my water first. Oh, Brian did. Let's see, I think it makes sense for Brian to go for the same 4 again. I'm always iffy about the Psychic Seed in Indeedee, just because it does feel so good to be able to switch it out and switch it back in on the Rillaboom especially, but Brian's the one with all of the major top cuts. Isn't that right, Pikachu? Getting into game number 2 here. Both these players are 2-0 right now. Another win will put them in a very good spot to make top cut. 5 rounds, 3-2, probably going to make it in. To meet Incineroar Ursaluna this time for Edward, and Hatterene and Didi once again for Brian. So, not seeing the Ninetales here. Big thing is it a Rillaboom switch-in on the Incineroar plus a Fake-Out? That is the big thing that the big thing that Edward can do to stop a Trick Room from getting up right here. The problem is that you have to figure out who you're going for. No switches. Nothing at all. We're going to see Ursaluna just go for the Calm Mind. I did not even realize it had that. I don't read the team sheets that closely. That is big. Knockoff into the Indeedee will do good damage, but it's already used its item, so not going to KO. Well, it might not have even KO'd at that range. Would have been close. Trick Room up. And now the bear is in some danger. Sorry, the music here in the thing is very different than the music that you're probably hearing over the in the game. Torkoal's actually going to hit the field now. Take over for the Hatterene. Ursaluna protects, so this is a fairly free turn for Brian to go for that switch. Indeedee's going to follow me. If it's another knockoff, then that's going to be Indeedee getting KO'd. Yeah, it's the knockoff. Indeedee should get KO'd, and now it's going to be able to be 2 heavy hitters on the field at the same time for Brian, with a couple turns of Trick Room remaining. See if it's the Farigiraf. It is the Farigiraf. Farigiraf is probably the best option here against the Incineroar. Just because it has that Hyper Voice. And yeah, this has gotten a little bit awkward for Edward, although Edward is still up a Pokemon. That is relevant. That is important to note. And Edward may have the Ninetales in the back to switch to, although it won't really stop Ninetales from getting taken out this turn. Incineroar is actually going to switch out here, which is pretty good for Brian, honestly. Because yeah, the Ninetales hits the field. I don't know if either of these Pokemon will take both these hits. It is snowing now, so it's not in the sun, but it is Specs boosted Terrafire Torkoal. Ninetales going to be brought down to Sash and be taken out by the Hyper Voice. That much is certain. How much the Ursaluna takes to this is relevant, especially because it does have the Calm Mind boost. Keep that in mind. See the Eruption here. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. Ooh, boy, that is a lot of damage right there. And the Hyper Voice will clean up the KOs. It's getting late early here for Edward. That is a very, very good turn for Brian. And the Torkoal can switch out and switch back in if it wants, or it can just kind of go for damage. Because you're not at threat of Fake Out from either of these Pokemon. Because of the Farigiraf being on the field right now. Even with the grassy terrain up, it's not really a concern for you. But I think Brian's just going to try to clean this one up right now with the Farigiraf and the Torkoal, because I think he'll be able to do it. No priority available. Rillaboom. I mean, Rillaboom can Terrafire, but there's only so much that can do for you, especially since the Farigiraf with that Hyper Voice is going to do a lot of damage. It's +1, it's stab boosted. We'll see the Terrafire Rillaboom. Yep. Snow is tough for the game to handle. A lot of particles on the screen. Here's the Eruption once again, still 150 base power, so it'll still do some okay damage. That is not bad for not weather boosted or anything. Knockoff into the Farigiraf. Again, good damage, nowhere near enough. high horsepower into the Torkoal. It's not nothing. It ain't nothing, but that Rillaboom is going to have some trouble getting through this next turn. As will the Incineroar, frankly, but Rillaboom for sure is probably going to drop here, and it's just a matter of getting rid of that last Incineroar. Eruption at about half HP, about 75 base power, gets rid of the Rillaboom, and it'll be a single target Hyper Voice to finish off the Incineroar here momentarily. There it is. And Brian Collins will take a 2-0 commanding victory in round number 3. Again, it's one of the best. He's one of the best players we have in this SoCal region. He has been absolutely popping off early on in the season, and he is showing why with this really, really good team. And he didn't even show 2 of his Pokemon, which both are really important into a number of matchups. Regardless, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back with round number 4, getting into crunch time. Don't go anywhere.